Hi 21 Days to Fitness friends, this is Anita Stone. We're on day 10 and I'm talking about weight loss secrets. We already did part 1 and so this is part 2 for today. The second thing I'd like to cover is eating frequently throughout the day. Now I've been telling you to eat every 2 to 3 hours all day long, and that's important to keep your metabolism up. There are 2 things that keep your metabolism up: eating and moving. So we want to be eating or moving or both every 2 to 3 hours all day long. And I know some of you have jobs that you just really can't get up and move around. I used to work for Hertz Rent-A-Car, and I was in the reservation center. And in this reservation center, we all had a computer and we all had a phone headset, and so we literally were tied to the computer. I mean, you could stand up, but that's as far away as you could go from your computer. And I did that for 8 hours a day years ago. And they did give us breaks. We had 15-minute breaks, but that was a hard job. I did that for a couple of years. In fact, that was a hard job to stay right there at that computer for 2 hours at a time. And there were people in the reservation center. We had hundreds of us that worked there, and there were people that would just stand up for a long time. They would just stand and do their work because they didn't like sitting down so much. And so obviously if you're standing, you're burning more calories. So if you can, stand up on your job as much as you can. Do that. Tap your foot, do anything to keep blood flowing through your legs. But back to the eating often and moving often. Now, what some people have heard, and I've heard this before too, not in a long time, but I know some people still believe this. They believe that grazing is what you should do. In other words, you're just eating a little bit every time you eat, just 1 or 2 bites all day long. And that was a belief, I think, that was held in the past, but not anymore. They have found now that it takes a lump of calories, or a group of calories, I don't know what to call it, an amount of calories of at least 150 to 250 calories, depending on the person, to raise metabolism. Okay, and they've studied this now. So every time you eat that 2 to 3 hours during the day, you need to be eating at least 150 calories at a time, up to 250 calories. Okay, so it's not having food out on the kitchen counter all day long and going back and eating 1 grape, and then going back and eating 1 more grape. Go back and eat 1 more grape. You need to sit down and eat all your grapes. Now remember, we also talked about eating a protein every time you eat, and eating a vegetable or a fruit, one or the other, preferably more vegetables than fruits, every time you eat. So if you sit down to eat grapes, you need to have maybe some cheese with it, or some cottage cheese, or a half a cup of milk, or maybe some chicken, or some ham, or something like that. You need to have some protein with it. And there's all kinds of things you can do, maybe a yogurt. Yogurt doesn't have a lot of protein, but it has a little bit. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to always combine our protein with our carbs all day long, and trying to always get in enough vegetables during the day. So as much vegetables as you can stuff down your throat, that's what you're going to try to eat. That's what I try to do. And then also not grazing. So every time you eat, look at how many calories it is, and try to make sure you're eating at least 150 calories. One of my snacks is protein bars, and I don't eat a protein bar every day, but almost every day. I skip days, and then I'll go for a week and have one every day, and then I'll skip a few days. And I had one of the ladies in my aerobics class one day say, "Why do you eat that junk? Why don't you just eat regular food?" And I said, you obviously don't live my life. And we were joking about it. She was an older lady. She was home all day. If she wanted to fix grapes and cottage cheese, then she was at home, she could do that. At that time in my life, and even now, a lot of time I'm in the car sometimes 5 hours in a day. I used to have a work schedule on Mondays where between me going to my work and taking the kids to school and picking them up, I was in the car 4 hours and 45 minutes out of the day. I mean, that's like driving to Austin from here. You know, that's like taking a road trip in a day. And so you can't, when you're in the car, what are you going to eat? You've got to take something with you. You obviously can't be eating a spinach salad in the car. And so you've got to have options. And I always say it's better to have an apple that's been, you know, even if it's been rolling around in the bottom of your purse for 3 or 4 days, or a protein bar than to stop at Taco Bell. And I always keep those little EAS protein shakes in my car. And I recently just took them out because our temperatures now here in Texas have gotten up to 100 every day. And when it's hot, you can't leave those in your car because they are made out of milk. They're made to be room temperature, but room temperature up to about maybe 80 at the most. And so you won't be able to keep those in your car unless you're in a cooler climate. But I always, during the other seasons of the year, always have those in my car as well. So that's your weight loss tip number 2, and just pay attention to it. Be aware of what you're eating, and I guarantee that that'll help you with your weight loss. Thanks for listening, and have a fit day. Stay tuned for number 3. It's coming up. Bye-bye.